Okay, solve the equation. Negative 12x to the second power minus 3x equals 0. So there are two answers to this equation. You have x to the second and you have x, so you'll need to factor. Now, go to this sheet here. First, you got to make sure you're equal to 0. That's before you even look at the sheet, and you are. And you count how many terms do you have. Tap to factor. On that other side, there's 2. So 2 terms. It's a binomial, so you use binomial properties of factoring. You see if you have a greatest common factor, then you see if you have a difference of perfect squares. Equals 0, so GCF. Okay, remember how to do the GCF. You check the final term for a variable. 0 is not the final term's over here. I see an x, so I put an x. Check the first term for a negative. Negative is in front, so we need to make our GCF negative. Right even before the slot, put a negative. Then find the GCF of the coefficients, so 12 and 3. So here's 3, here's 12, so it'd be 3. So we wrap that up, and then we go up and divide by negative 3x. The x's cancel there. So I'm dividing negative 12 by negative 3, that's positive 4. Then you're dividing the x to the second by the x, which means x times x divided by x, and you'll end up with x on your 4. Then you have to divide the negative 3 by the negative 3, which is positive 1. Then you see if you have a difference of perfect squares. I should have drawn that box right away. Okay, pull out your negative 3x, get that out of there. So when you see a plus sign, you know that this is a no. And then you put 4x plus 1 right beside the negative 3x equals 0. Now you factored it, you're ready to solve. F1, F2. So negative 3x could equal 0, or 4 times x plus 1 could equal 0. So over here we got times negative 3, so we need to divide by negative 3, and that's 0. Then over here you've got times 4 and plus 1, so you need to subtract the 1 first. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Then you divide by 4. Negative 1 divided by 4 decimals, second PRB, negative 1/4. 0 and negative 1/4. Okay, number 2, x to the second minus 7x equals 18. So there are two answers. You have x to the second and you have x, so you need to factor. Okay. I don't have my 0. You put the 0 and you minus your 18. Now 18 is a constant, so it's not going to go with the 1x to the second or the negative 7x. It's just spaced here. So I line up the equals 0 now. Now I'm set. Now we have x to the second. We have x. And we have the constant. So x to the second is a 1. X is a negative 7. And then the constant's negative 18. So I see there are 3 terms now. So it's a trinomial. So GCF table. Okay, so again, remember how to do the GCF. You check the final term for a variable. Nope, no x. Check the first term at the front for negative. Nope. Then 1, 7, and 18. That's only going to be in row 1 because you'd start in row 1. Okay, so we don't do that then. Don't do it if it's 1. That's pointless. A, B, C. So positive 1 times negative 18, that's negative 18. So that's a mismatch. So positive, negative. And we are trying to add to what my B is. So on the ABC, my B is negative 7. So that's what I'm trying to add to. So 18 divided by 1 is 18. Nope. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 2 and 9. 2 plus negative, there you go, negative 7. So A is the coefficient in front of your x squared, which is x to the second, which is 1. Okay, now I'm ready to set this up. And we have a plus 2 and a minus 9. So x to the second, we're going to go xx and then apply the 1 coefficient. Now those are already in simplest form because 1 and 2 would just be in 1's row. You can divide by 1 or just drop it down. So x plus 2. 1 and 9 is only in 1's row. Okay, so drop it down. Now you solve it, f1, f2. So x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 9 equals 0. So I subtract 2, 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Then I plus 9, 0 plus 9 is positive 9. Negative 2 and positive 9. Okay, 3x to the second power minus 17x minus 28 equals 0. Okay, there are two answers. You have x to the second and you have x. So you're applying your factoring properties. 0's there, it's set. So now how many terms do I have on this other side? I have 3. So again, it's another trinomial, GCF table. Okay, do you have an x on the end? No. Do you have a negative in front? No. 3, 17, and 28. 3, nope. They'd just be up in 1's row. Every integer's in 1's row, so that means we don't do it. Okay, A, B, C. So I take 3 times negative 28, and that's negative 84. So it's a mismatch. It's a positive times a negative. Okay. What are you adding to? You're adding to what the B is, which is negative 17. So 484 divided by 1 is 84. You add those, that's not negative 17. 84 divided by 2 is 42. That's way too wide of a gap to be 17. 84 divided by 3 is 28. The gap is narrowing, but as you can see, it's still too wide. Okay. 84 divided by 4 is 21, so 4 and 21. So I take 4 plus negative 21, negative 17, and that matches what I want, okay? Your A is 3x to the second. X squared's coefficient multiplier is a 3, so remember that. So you put a plus 4, a minus 21. Then x to the second, and then 3 and 3. Okay, so 3 and 4 are only in the first row, so you can divide by 1, but it really is just going to stay the same. So we will have the factor 3x plus 4. 3 and 21, here's 3, here's 21, so it would be in row 3. That becomes 1x minus 7. Please take the 1 off your x, and it would be x minus 7 equals 0. Now we put f1, f2. So 3x plus 4 could equal 0, or the x minus 7 could equal 0. So you got times 3 and plus 4, so you minus 4. 3 times x equals negative 4, divided by 3. You're going to get a decimal here, so second PRB that, negative 1 1/3. Then plus 7, you don't have to divide there, it's 7. Negative 1 1/3 and 7. We are not doing number 4, I'm going to explain why. Okay, we're not going to do it, but I'm going to set it up. I have two answers because you got x to the second, but you see, you have x to the second, but you only have x to the second. You don't use factoring properties for that problem. We'll get to that in a week or two. Okay. 5x to the third minus 30x to the second plus 40x equals 0. Now there are three answers because you have x to the third. You've also got x to the second. You've also got x. So obviously you're going to have to factor. You have three different x terms you can't combine. Operate under the same rules, please. Three terms, GCF table. So I do have a variable there, so I put it. The front's positive, so I do not need to put the negative in front of the slot. 5, 30, and 40. Here's 5, 30, and 40, so it'd be 5. So you're going up and you're dividing by 5x. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now we also have to divide x to the third by x. So it'd be x times x times x divided by x. Well, that leaves me with two x's, so it'd be 1x to the second. Negative 30 divided by 5 is negative 6, and then x second divided by x, that's x times x divided by x. So that leaves me with 6x. 40 divided by 5 is 8. These x's cancel. Well, they always cancel in the last division. So you kick the GCF over here and then cross it out. So you're not worried about it. It has nothing to do with the T-chart. A, B, C. So I take positive 1 times positive 8, and it's positive 8. Okay. By the way, remember, your A is not 5, it is x to the second's coefficient, which is 1. Okay, positive, that's a match. And you're adding to try to come to negative 6. Okay. So negative, negative, and then you divide. So 8 divided by 1 is 8. That's negative 9. That's too wide, but it's close. 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's on the money. Okay. Then minus 2, minus 4, then xx. Apply your 1 coefficients in front. And I think these are already in simplest form. 1 and 2 would just be in 1's row. If you want to divide by 1, that's fine. It just ends up being the same. So x minus 2. Same thing here. You can divide by 1 if you want, but it just ends up being the same. So x minus 4. Okay, now all these parentheses have x. So now this is labeled f1, f2, f3. So 5x equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0, x minus 4 equals 0. So we divide by 5, 0 divided by 5, 0, plus 2, x equals 2, plus 4, x equals 4. 0, 2, and 4. Okay, last one in this video. We have 4x to the third power minus 7x to the second power minus 16x plus 28 equals 0. So you have three answers again. You have x third, you have x to the second, and you have x, okay? You are going to factor. So you're set. Now how many terms are there? There are 4 terms, okay? 4 terms is called a quadnomial, okay? Now remember how to set this up. You're going to make a big box for grouping procedures, and then the little parentheses, big parentheses, you check the bigger one, see if that's a difference of perfect squares. So grouping. You can put it in the box or outside. So you set up just what I have there. Parentheses plus parentheses. Then the GCF lines come outside of the parentheses. If you have to go outside the box like I did, that's fine. Then little parentheses, big parentheses. I'm going to quit putting that line there. I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Now this big parentheses at the end, you need to check and see if that's a difference of perfect squares. Okay, so I put the 4x to the third with the negative 7x to the second. And then I put negative 16x with the positive 28. We'll line up the equals 0 there. Okay, now you're just checking the binomials, not the whole thing, okay? Remember the rules for that. Check your final term for the variable. It's there and it's to the second power, so you need to put it to the second. Check the first term for a negative. It ain't there. Front's positive. 4 and 7 are just in the 1 row. Okay. Then over here, 16 and 28. Now the final term is a constant, so there's no variable there, but you do need a negative in front of your slot, okay? Because the front's negative. 16 and 28. Nope. 16 and 28, there you go, 4. So we will be dividing this binomial by 1x to the second, and we will be dividing this binomial by negative 4. Okay, so 4 divided by 1 is 4, but you have to divide the x to the third divided by the x to the second. Cancel those and you end up with x. And the x's cancel on the second one, the last one. Negative 7 divided by 1 is negative 7. And this is going to be the same expression, 4x minus 7. So you put the 4x minus 7 here, okay? That's what I'm putting 4x minus 7. You can't see that. It's pretty tiny. Then I take these out because I factored that expression out. And then I have the 1x to the second with the negative 4. Now you have to keep the 4 in front of the x, but you're going to get rid of the 1. Now take that 4x minus 7 and bring that over. That's going to be a factor. Now dots, we have a minus x to the second. We know that's x times itself, and then 4, that's 2 times 2. So you have x, 2, 2. So we line those up alongside the 4x minus 7, and we're good to solve. So F1, F2, F3. 4x minus 7 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. Plus 7, it's going to be 7. 7 divided by 4 is 1.75. You can write that, or you can second PRB it, and it's 1 3/4. And minus 2, 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Over here, plus 2, x equals 2.